Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the channel that ignites strength, mindset, and opens the door to sustainable wealth. Have you ever wondered why the Jewish people, a nation comprising less than 0.2% of the world's population, possess nearly half of the richest entrepreneurs on the planet? What has made them the ultimate profit-generating machine in financial history? In today's video, we will explore together the 14 pinnacle mindsets of the Jewish people, the golden principles passed down from generation to generation that have helped them transform intellect into colossal assets. Let's listen, ponder, and if you find the content valuable, don't forget to subscribe to the channel right now so you don't miss other precious shares. Mindset 1. A smile, the silent power of the wealthy. Do you want to know what the first asset of successful people is? Not money, not degrees, but the energy you radiate every time you appear. And a smile, however simple, is the most powerful energy that humans possess. For the Jewish people, a smile is not just an external expression but a strategic tool in life and business. In the Talmudic collection of books recording the business mindset and ethical living of the Jewish people over thousands of years, there is a special saying, "A sincere smile can open doors that hundreds of words cannot." The Jewish people do not see a smile as mere social nicety. They see it as a signal of inner strength, of positive spirit and prosperous mindset. Modern research also confirms this. A long-term survey shows that teenagers with the habit of smiling frequently grow up to have incomes 10% higher than those who don't smile. Conversely, those who smile less tend to live withdrawn, suspicious, with few connections, and have incomes 30% below average. Not because they lack ability but because they lack the capacity to create goodwill, the first factor to open every door of opportunity. If you think a smile is an innate gift, you're wrong. A smile is like a skill that must be practiced, controlled, and proactively used at the right time. The story of William Wire, the king of insurance sales, is the clearest proof. William was rejected hundreds of times when pitching life insurance. But instead of complaining, he spent an entire month practicing his smile in front of the mirror. He pasted photos of successful entrepreneurs all over the room, studied every expression, every gaze, every lip corner, then adjusted until his smile could make any customer feel secure and trusting. The result? He sold tens of millions of dollars in contracts, becoming a legend in the insurance industry, and the only tool he used was a smile at the right time, to the right person, with the right emotion. The Jewish people understand that every transaction is a transaction between person and person. And people are always attracted to positivity, friendliness, warmth. A person entering a room with a cold face will slam opportunities shut themselves. But a person who smiles sincerely, who knows how to inspire, will always be the first to be heard. In this highly competitive world, sometimes a smile is the most silent but sharpest competitive advantage. You may be expert in your field, have experience, have knowledge, but if you can't create connections with others, you're being left behind. Conversely, the person who knows how to smile at the right moment, who empathizes and shares, will always have collaboration opportunities, business chances, and support from those around them. The smile mindset is not an expression but a choice. A choice to live positively, a choice to transmit good energy, a choice to open your heart to the world instead of enclosing yourself in a rigid shell. Try changing from today. Every morning, look in the mirror and practice smiling at yourself. On the street, smile at strangers. At work, use a smile to soothe conflicts, build relationships. Remember, a smile is free, but the value it brings can create an entire lifetime of wealth. Mindset 2. Intellectual leverage, the art of borrowing without having to repay. When the poor face difficulties, they often think of borrowing money. The middle class thinks of saving, but the Jewish people, with their profound vision, choose a completely different path. They borrow intellect in every difficult situation. They don't ask if there's money but ask what ideas there are to turn the situation around. The Jewish people's leverage mindset doesn't start with capital but with the way of thinking. They understand that in every circumstance, money can be lost but the right mindset never is, and it's the mindset that helps them create opportunities from nothing. One of the classic stories in the Talmud most clearly illustrates this mindset. The situation of a Jewish man walking into a bank in New York saying he wants to borrow $1. The bank manager was surprised but agreed if there was collateral. The man immediately pulled out a stack of stocks worth $500,000 onto the table. The bank manager verified them and agreed to the loan. A year later, the man returned, paid back exactly $1 plus 6 cents in interest. When asked, since you had $500,000 in hand, why borrow $1? He smiled and replied, I just needed a safe place to store the stocks. All the other banks charged too high a fee for safe deposit boxes. Here, I only lost 6 cents, and the assets were protected for a whole year. This isn't borrowing money. This is using intellect to borrow services in the most beneficial way. The Jewish people see intellectual leverage as the ultimate weapon to control risk and maximize benefits. They don't take meaningless risks, don't act recklessly, but always find ways to turn limitations into opportunities. When others see bad luck, they see the lever. When others see crisis, they see hidden value. This very mindset has helped them survive, develop, and grow rich in every circumstance from the most difficult periods in history. Remember, leverage isn't straining yourself to pull. Leverage is finding the right fulcrum. Ordinary people use strength. Smart people use systems. The Jewish people don't rush into making money by diving into a game not meant for them. They observe, analyze, and find ways to make others do it for them through systems, through strategies, and through sharp thinking. This is very similar to what Warren Buffett, the world-renowned investor, often says. I'm not smarter than others. I just stay longer in the game and learn to use others' intellect to double my profits. While you're still struggling to save every penny, the rich are using others' money streams to enrich themselves. But to do that, they must have something no one can take away: a leverage mindset, systems thinking, analytical skills, and clarity in decision-making. So what are you borrowing to go faster on the path to success? If you only know how to borrow money, you're adding pressure. But if you know how to borrow others' intellect, learn from their experiences, use the market's available resources, leverage existing networks instead of building from scratch, you're on the right track. In this era of constant change, the strong are no longer the one with the most money, but the one who can pivot their mindset the fastest. And the greatest leverage you can possess isn't the money in your account, but the ability to think breakthrough, act differently, and use intellect to amplify every resource around you. Mindset 3. View money as a game where the winner is the one who knows the rules and isn't obsessed with the reward. There's something very interesting in the Jewish mindset. They don't see money as the ultimate goal. They see it as a strategic game, where the smartest player isn't the one who earns the most, but the one who controls emotions, understands the rules clearly, and knows when to advance and when to retreat. In the Talmud, the most important book of living philosophy of the Jewish people, there is a passage: money is not the holy grail but a chess piece. Learn to play, don't dream of owning. Here, the core mindset isn't obsession with money, but the ability to use money as a tool for experiences, forging resilience, overcoming challenges, and developing oneself. The game mindset helps the Jewish people maintain calm before market fluctuations, economic crises, or even hasty profit opportunities. They aren't led by emotions. Don't let fear or greed cloud reason. To them, every deal, every investment, every financial decision is a chess match requiring strategy, not a red-black gamble. A typical example is the banking tycoon J.P. Morgan, who has Jewish origins and is one of the greatest money players in U.S. financial history. When asked why, with so much money, he still works tirelessly, he replied with a sentence that made the world ponder. I don't work for money. I work for the process. To Morgan, every investment is an intellectual battle, every loss a lesson, and every win a confirmation of the right mindset, no more, no less. The Jewish people teach their children from a young age that making money is a game requiring discipline, not a race needing luck. Because if you see money as something to conquer, you'll live in stress, pressure, and easily get caught in the win-lose spiral. But if you see money as part of a long game, where you need to build skills, master the mind, learn to control risk and calculate moves, you'll maintain calm and sharpness in every circumstance. This mindset is extremely important in today's era when many people plunge into the money game with a panicked mindset. They invest in stocks just because they see others profiting. They do online business just because they see social media flaunting luxury cars and beautiful houses. But as Warren Buffett once said, when you don't understand the game rules, you are the prey. The Jewish people never let themselves become prey. They always observe, analyze, control, and adapt. They understand that wins and losses mean nothing if you haven't learned the lesson after each move. And even more special, the Jewish people don't let money control their emotions. They don't spend lavishly when they get rich, nor collapse when assets evaporate. They continue playing, continue operating the mindset, continue making decisions based on logic and understanding rather than impulsive emotions. So if you want to step into the world of successful people, stop seeing money as the destination. Start learning to control yourself like a seasoned player, understanding rules, forging psychology, analyzing opponents, controlling expectations. That's what helps you stand firm and ultimately win in the money game of life. Because the ultimate winner isn't the one who earns the most money, but the one who doesn't let money dominate their life. The one who can continue playing when others have quit. Mindset 4. Cotton win-win for long-term gains. The poor often think how to sell goods so others pay them. The middle class thinks how to sell more than competitors. But the Jewish people pose a completely different question. How to make both me and the customer benefit. The win-win mindset recorded in the ancient pages of Jewish books isn't a lofty philosophy but a practical compass in trade, investment, and even life. It stems from a true story rich in symbolism about how a Jewish family turned scarcity into a mighty financial empire. In 1844, Henry Lehman, a Jewish immigrant with his two younger brothers, opened a small general store in Alabama, USA. They quickly realized a frightening truth. Their main customers were cotton farmers. But these people had no cash. If they waited for those with money to come, the store would die. If they haggled or refused, they'd lose the potential customer group forever. Instead, Lehman chose to shift mindset. He encouraged farmers to trade cotton for necessities. This sounded like a loss but was actually a smart strategy. Farmers didn't have to sell cotton far away, didn't have to wait for harvest season. They could exchange directly for what they needed. In return, Lehman could sell goods and collect raw materials that had great market value. What was the result? The store grew rapidly, becoming an important trade center in the region. Soon after, Lehman Brothers grew from a small shop into a world-leading financial corporation. It all started from a simple choice. Not making money from others' losses but from creating mutual benefits. The Jewish people believe wealth can't be sustainable if only one side benefits. Every contract, every transaction, every relationship, if not based on win-win mindset, will eventually collapse. They have a famous saying, better to cancel the contract than let one side feel cheated. The win-win mindset is also the foundation in modern customer relations. When you help customers feel respected, understood, serve to their needs, they don't just pay once but return the second, third time and introduce you to others. Loyalty doesn't come from low prices but from win-win experiences. In modern society, many fail because they only think of personal gain. They want to close deals, sell goods, make profit, forgetting that buyers are also humans. They have emotions, thoughts, and choices. If you make them feel forced, they'll leave forever. But if you give them a sense of sharing, they'll become allies on your wealth-building path. The win-win mindset has a deeper layer. When you help others benefit, you're opening new paths for yourself. Many think yielding is a disadvantage. But in reality, when you put others' interests first, you create trust, the invisible but priceless asset. And once people trust you, they'll be ready for big deals, long-term partnerships, or even entrusting assets to you to manage. Look back at those sustainably wealthy. They all know how to share value. No one is just a hoarder. They understand that building wealth is a long process, can't be built on selfishness but only on cooperation and mutual benefits. Mindset 5. Intermediary. Owning nothing yet still making money. While most people think that to make money, you need capital, products, or a special skill, the Jewish people prove the complete opposite. You don't need anything in hand, as long as you know how to connect the right people with the right needs. The intermediary mindset is one of the smartest business strategies of the Jewish people, not focusing on creating products or investing in production. Instead, They choose to become bridges between two groups, those who have and those who need. And from that intermediary position, they create value and profit legally, sustainably, without financial risk. The famous story recorded in Jewish trade history is about a young water seller, a poor-born guy living by hauling water for hire. Every day, he had to laboriously carry buckets of water to customers, exchanging for a few pennies. A grueling job, low income, no future. But one day, seeing a child drawing shapes on a water bucket, he suddenly awoke. Instead of continuing to haul water for a few cents, he decided to deliver water for free. Everyone thought he was crazy, but that's when the intermediary mindset started operating. He used those free water buckets to advertise for businesses because the buckets were always placed in visible spots in homes. After a while, he had a list of over 10,000 customers receiving free water. With that list, he approached companies saying, "I can help you advertise to over 10,000 households. If customers come from ads on the water buckets, you pay me a fee." Businesses saw the effectiveness and immediately agreed. The result, from a man with no product, no capital, nothing in hand, this young man built a business profiting tens of thousands of dollars a month. He didn't sell water. He sold connections between two needs. The intermediary mindset is one of the most silent wealth secrets the Jewish people have used over many generations. In trade, they don't compete in production but stand in the middle where few notice, yet control distribution. In services, they don't need to be expert, they just need to connect experts. In investment, they don't always put in capital but use relationships, trust, and market understanding to direct money from surplus to shortage. Looking at the modern market, you'll see the most successful tech apps all based on intermediary mindset. Grab doesn't own cars but connects drivers and passengers. Airbnb doesn't own hotels but connects those needing stays and those with spare rooms. Shopee, Tiki, Lazada are also digital-age Jewish people. No product production, just connecting, distributing, promoting. So what makes the intermediary mindset successful? Understand the market. Know who's in need, who's in surplus, and how to bring the two sides together. Build trust. Being an intermediary isn't just introducing one to the other. You must make both trust you as the reliable gatekeeper. Create clear value. You're not just a messenger. You must create tangible benefits for both sides. When they see the value you bring, they'll be willing to pay for your presence. The Jewish people say, "It's not who holds the assets who is the master. The one connecting assets has even greater power." And that's true. The intermediary mindset doesn't require owning resources but owning far-sighted thinking, connection ability, and intelligence in exploiting relationships. So if you're starting with empty hands, don't worry. Learn from the Jewish people. Be the one in the middle, observe the market, find gaps between unmet needs, and become the golden bridge. Money flows to where there's value, not necessarily where there's goods. Mindset 6, 22/78. Focus on the few who bring the most. If you've heard of the 80-20 principle, also known as Pareto's Law, the Jewish people have a similar version called the 22/78 mindset. This isn't just a resource allocation formula but a survival strategy in every business decision, management, and even social relationships. The principle is very simple but extremely sharp. Only 22% of people or factors in the system create up to 78% of real value. The remaining portion, though numerous, contributes very little to the final result. The Jewish people don't try to please everyone. They pour all their effort into serving the 22% group, potential customers, influential partners, or tasks that truly bring high value. Imagine a small store. The owner could choose to treat all customers fairly, dividing time and effort equally. Whether the customer buys a lot or little, but the Jewish people do differently. They identify the VIP customers, willing to pay high and likely to buy repeatedly, and use full force to serve that group. The occasional low-spending customers only need basic service. It may sound discriminatory, but that's the way of true business people. Because reality shows 80% of revenue often comes from 20% of customers. If you spend too much time on that other 80%, you're burning time without profit. In a world limited by time and energy, focusing on the right people, right tasks, right moments is an art of survival. A real example: 2 salespeople graduating from the same university. After 5 years, One still struggles, while the other has stable income, a nice house. Where's the difference? The first serves all customers equally, big or small. He pours effort but doesn't optimize profit. The second is different. He filters and identifies high-value customers. He spends time understanding them, building relationships, caring meticulously, and keeping them long-term. The result, with fewer customers, he earns multiples more. The 2278 mindset isn't just for business but extremely effective in time management and personal relationship building. When you have 10 relationships, ask yourself, who among them helps you grow? Who always supports you? Who just drags you down? When you have 10 daily tasks, identify which truly impact big results, which just waste energy without value. The Jewish people don't do many things. They do the right ones. They don't chase quantity. They focus on profitable quality because they understand human resources are limited and no one can divide their energy equally among all. The 2278 mindset also helps us avoid a dangerous trap, the illusion of busyness. Many people work all day, rush all month but don't advance because they keep handling seemingly urgent but non-long-term result tasks. They're caught in the work whirlwind without reflecting on what they're expending energy for. The Jewish people are the opposite. They choose tasks to do, people to meet, places to invest time, and that's why they're wealthier, more leisurely, yet control life better. Mindset 7. Action. What separates the rich from the poor in the very first step? In the real world, it's not who is smarter, more talented, or more educated who gets richer. The rich simply act right and act early. The Jewish people understand this truth more than anyone. To them, mindset alone isn't enough. Mindset only has real value when transformed into timely and effective action. The Talmud, the treasure trove of Jewish intellect, once wrote, "The strong aren't those who know the way but those who dare to walk it." This sounds simple, but many in modern society are stuck in a vicious cycle of overthinking, overfearing, and delaying too long. They wait for the perfect moment, wait for money, wait for free time, wait for certainty, and then do nothing. The Jewish people don't live like that. They have an extremely practical life philosophy. There's no perfect time, but there is right action and timely action. A small action today is always better than a perfect plan shelved until next year. Look at the profound parable about two men, one rich, one poor, assigned to mine a coal mountain, starting from the same point. The poor, used to manual labor, dug fast, sold coal, used money to eat full every day. The rich, not used to heavy work, dug slow, tired, bought only a little bread to get by, but saved the money. The next day, the rich didn't dig. He used saved money to hire others to dig for him. And so, day by day, he expanded scale, hired more people, and quickly mined the whole mountain. While the poor, no matter how diligent, only fumbled with a few cartloads of coal a day, accumulating nothing. The lesson here is clear. The poor act on instinct. The rich act strategically. The poor spend labor results to live day by day. The rich transform every penny earned into a tool to expand money-making capacity. The difference isn't in starting point, but in how they respond to opportunities. The Jewish people never act in a "how much you have, do that much" style. They always take time to observe, analyze. But once they see the opportunity, they act immediately. They understand delay is lost money. And lost money is lost self-belief. One of the greatest strengths of the Jewish people is they don't wait for full conditions to start. They create conditions to start. If no capital, they borrow intellect. If no time, they optimize time. If not skilled, they partner with the skilled. But absolutely no procrastination. They see action as the measure of difference between success and failure. You can have big dreams, great ideas, but if you don't get hands-on, you're still poor. You can read hundreds of finance books, watch thousands of success videos, but if you don't start with a specific action today, you're wasting all that knowledge. The Jewish people teach their children, if you think of a good thing but don't do it, you've downgraded your own opportunity. And the truth is the world doesn't reward good ideas, but those who turn ideas into reality. You want to start a business? Try selling something small. You want to invest? Start reading financial reports daily. You want to build personal brand? Write the first post today. And if you don't know where to start with a simple action. Step out of the comfort zone. Mindset 8. The cage. The greatest limit isn't outside but in the mindset. A philosopher once said, "The greatest prison of humans isn't in four walls but in the way they think." That saying is the foundation of the cage mindset that the Jewish people have absorbed and applied to break through every adverse circumstance in their thousands of years of history. The cage mindset is how the Jewish people describe the invisible limits in the human mind. Wrong beliefs, inherent fears, and rigid thinking that make us self-bind to an imaginary cage. The danger is that cage isn't locked, but we stay inside because we lack the courage to step out. Let's start with a true story. Early 20th century, a British merchant wanted to build a wild zoo in Africa for tourists. He hired experts to design large cages for lions, leopards, tigers. But due to overly strict requirements, budget skyrocketed, progress stalled. Meanwhile, a janitor without expertise blurted out, "Why cage the animals? Why not cage people instead?" That seemingly silly question was the key to breakthrough thinking. Another entrepreneur, Carl Hagenbeck, heard the idea and decided to do the complete opposite. He let animals roam free and caged visitors in safe glass enclosures. His zoo quickly became Europe's most successful private zoo, while the first merchant still fumbled with his giant cages. He was stuck behind. What's the lesson? Very clear. The one imprisoned isn't the beast but human rigid mindset itself. The Jewish people understand this deeply. In every circumstance of war, oppression, migration, discrimination, they still exist not because of physical strength or material assets, but because they don't allow their mindset to be caged. When forbidden to practice professions, they shifted to intermediary trades. When forbidden to own land, they developed finance. When unable to dominate by force, they used intellect to rule strategic fields like banking, law, technology. Have you ever wondered what's limiting you? Lack of money, lack of opportunity, or simply thinking you can't? The cage mindset is what makes millions think small, live hand-to-mouth, and never dare step out of the comfort zone. They do the same job forever though knowing it's valueless. They refuse new learning because it's not for me. They dismiss opportunities just because I'm not sure I can do it. And then they live their whole life in a cage they created themselves. No one locks them in. The Jewish people are different. They constantly question their mindset. Why do it that way? Is there a faster, different, better way? They don't repeat the old, they create new solutions. And that's why they always rise in industries needing creativity, innovation, and systems thinking. If you're feeling stuck, don't blame life, society, or circumstances. Look straight at your own mindset. What pattern are you thinking in? Who put that limit in your head? Do you dare try a method you've always thought impossible? The cage mindset only breaks when you have the courage to doubt what you've been certain of. The first step of success isn't doing big things, but daring to think differently. And remember, the mountain doesn't block your path. Rigid thinking is what keeps you standing still forever. Mindset 9. Sunny days. Prepare before the storm arrives so as not to be swept away. The Jewish people have a classic mindset passed down from generation to generation. When the sky is sunny, prepare for rainy days. That's not just a metaphorical saying but a life philosophy that helped them survive thousands of years of turmoil, overcome wars, crises, genocidal disasters, and still rise to master the world economy. The sunny days mindset teaches that don't wait until danger happens to start preventing. Don't wait to lose a job to learn new skills. Don't wait for crisis to think of saving. Don't wait for competitors to strengthen to start changing. Smart people always go one step ahead. The Jewish people don't wait for events to act. They analyze trends, predict the future, and prepare solutions ready when everything is still peaceful. The real story of a young engineer graduating from Tsinghua University, one of China's most prestigious schools, is perfect proof of this mindset. After graduation, he worked at a large steel factory with high salary, stable position, many dream of. But he realized something: Traditional industry was declining, internet was rising, while the steel factory was slowing. Instead of settling for the iron rice bowl full of illusions of safety, he quit everything to venture into e-commerce. Friends mocked, family discouraged. But 10 years later, the company he founded earned millions of USD yearly. While former colleagues, those eating sunny day rice, successively became unemployed when the factory closed. The only difference, the one with sunny days mindset saw the rain early. The Jewish people understand that stability is the most dangerous state because it easily lulls people. When life is peaceful, people often stop learning, stop investing, stop improving. They live in the illusion that everything will stay the same, but the world doesn't stop changing, and those who don't prepare from sunny days will surely be swept away when rain comes. The sunny days mindset isn't living in fear but living strategically. When others spend all monthly salary on shopping, the Jewish people allocate 10% to invest in education, 10% to emergency savings. When others celebrate high revenue, they quietly improve processes, build reserve funds, and prepare for market volatility. That's what makes them not just rich but sustainable. Are you living in sunny days? If yes, you must be more cautious. Ask yourself, if my current job disappears, what skills do I have to pivot? If income drops suddenly, what reserve do I have? If my industry is replaced by AI or new tech, what have I prepared? Ordinary people only react when events happen. Those with sunny days mindset act before necessary. This far-sighted and thorough preparation ability is the clear boundary between the sustainable and the collapsed. This mindset is especially useful in today's volatile era. Technology changes daily. Old business models are breaking. Yesterday's skills may be obsolete today. If you don't update, don't proactively learn, don't invest in yourself, you'll soon be replaced no matter how sunny today is. The Jewish people teach their children, no one dies from the rain. People only die from preparing nothing for the rain. And that's why they always live ready, not panicked. When others frantically cope, they already have umbrellas in hand, raincoats in pocket, and recovery plans in mind. Mindset 10, Elevator. When the crowd rushes in, the Jewish people choose to stand back and look at the direction. Have you ever seen a building with two paths? One side empty stairs, one side crowded elevator. Interestingly, most choose to squeeze into the elevator, though knowing they'll wait longer, be more frustrated, and may not arrive faster. That's not just daily imagery but a profound metaphor for the crowd mindset that most humans suffer from. And from that image, the Jewish people built the elevator mindset concept, symbolizing dependence on trends, herd psychology, running after others without knowing what you truly want. The Talmud writes, people choose the crowded path not because it's the shortcut but because it's the easy one. But the easy path is always crowded, and crowds are easily wrong. In today's world, when social media amplifies emotions and trends, many lose personal direction. They see others playing stocks, they rush into investing. See friends doing YouTube, they start new channels. See everyone learning IT, they sign up for courses. But ultimately, they don't really understand why they're doing it. The Jewish people never act like that. They teach children, if you see everyone doing something, stop and observe before stepping in. Because they know the truth. Opportunities and wealth aren't in crowded places. A story told by Warren Buffett, the great investor of Jewish American descent. In a small town, one man opens a gas station and thrives. The second sees and opens one next door, the third and fourth follow. Finally, the small town has too many gas stations, everyone loses. The pioneer succeeds. The crowd followers all fail. The elevator mindset is a common disease of modern people. It makes us lose independent thinking ability, become flawed versions of those we admire, and ultimately live a life not our own. The Jewish people choose a different path. They don't ask what everyone's doing. They ask what I'm truly good at. They don't ask which job is hot. They ask what value I can create that others haven't done well. Thanks to that mindset, they can break through in seemingly unremarkable industries. They see opportunities where others see only risk. They develop unique value while the crowd is still copying. Following the crowd isn't wrong, but know why you're following. And more importantly, when the crowd panics, do you have the guts to stand firm? A study by Barry Schwartz, an American sociologist, shows the poor often make a common mistake. They overly trust majority choices. They choose living far from the city to save but lose hours commuting daily. They choose stable jobs like workers, guards. Because everyone does, but no long-term development plan. The Jewish people are the opposite. They're willing to choose less traveled paths as long as it's right. They don't need noise. They just need right direction, persistence, and continuous mindset upgrades. Are you stepping into the crowded elevator just because it's popular, or do you dare take the stairs, slower at first but independent? Remember, the biggest difference between success and failure isn't speed but direction. Successful people don't fear going alone. They just fear going wrong. Mindset 11. Value. When you become someone worth connecting with, every opportunity will find you. The Jewish people have a very special philosophy about relationships. Don't try to make friends. Try to become someone others want to be friends with. This seemingly simple saying is the core of the value mindset foundation that the Jewish people use to build careers, social relationships, and sustainable wealth paths. In modern society, we often see many people rushing to expand networks. They add friends en masse, message, invite coffee, connect on social media. But most of those relationships don't lead to real value. Why? Because they approach others while themselves having nothing worth others' interest. The Jewish people understand that the essence of relationships is value exchange. If you bring nothing, don't be surprised when others aren't keen. And if you keep asking without ever giving, that relationship will soon fade. This reality was emphasized by Warren Buffett himself, a man with Jewish blood. Your value determines the quality of your network. You don't need many people, just the right ones, and they'll only come if you're worthy. Try looking from another angle. If there's a poor person, no skills, no positive mindset, complaining all day, would you want to befriend them? Definitely not. But if someone understands you, helps at the right time, transmits positive energy, and gives you opportunities, you'd want to keep them in your life. That's why personal value is the magnet attracting opportunities. The Jewish people don't waste time scheming to befriend the rich. They invest to become someone the rich elite want to connect with. They learn deeply in a field until others seek them. They work with absolute reputation to be introduced in communities. They develop problem-solving skills to always be needed. And most importantly, they don't try to be noticed. They let their value speak for itself. A mistake of young people today is thinking many friends mean a network, but in reality, many low-quality relationships just tire you more. Successful Jewish people often have few friends, but all influential, heartfelt, and aligned. They build relationships like long-term investments. Not fast but certain. The value mindset is also the shield protecting you from toxic connections. When you know your value, you don't need to try for recognition. You don't need to please anyone. You just need to live true, and fitting people will come naturally. Real opportunities will appear when you stop chasing others and become someone others want to chase. So how to increase personal value? Invest in knowledge. Knowledge is the foundation of value. Learn what others haven't. Dig deep where others skim. Hone skills. Communication, problem solving, time management, critical thinking are tools making you useful. Maintain absolute reputation. Reputation is the strongest currency in the relationship world. A kept promise is worth more than 100 flatteries. Share sincerely. The Jewish people never keep value to themselves. They share selectively and always make others grateful. You don't need to scheme for someone to lift you. You just need to build yourself worthy of every opportunity, and when your value is large enough, the world will automatically respond. Mindset 12. Invest in yourself, the only investment that never loses. If I had to choose one core mindset creating the Jewish people's superior success, it's surely always prioritizing investment in oneself first. They clearly understand assets can be lost, Markets can change, jobs can be replaced, but personal capacity no one can take away. The Talmud writes, "Every dollar you spend on intellect will return to you in opportunities and sustainability." And that has deeply embedded into the Jewish people's mindset over many generations. When others spend money to prove themselves, they spend to build themselves. When others buy luxuries for recognition, they buy books, knowledge, and skills so they don't need to speak up. You can see this clearly in how the Jewish people raise children. From young, they teach children that how you spend your first money will decide your place in society later. And the first money they give children isn't to spend but to choose books they want to read. Warren Buffett, the great investor with Jewish mindset, once said a profoundly thought-provoking sentence. "The best investment I ever made wasn't in stocks but a Dale Carnegie public speaking course worth $100. He understood that a person can know much, but if not communicating well, not conveying value, that knowledge will be buried." What is investing in oneself? It's investing in knowledge. The Jewish people believe in the power of education more than anything. They don't just read books but analyze, critique, continuously update the new. They don't learn for degrees but for adaptability in every situation. It's investing in skills, communication, presentation, critical thinking, personal finance management, decision-making, all soft weapons helping them win in modern society. The Jewish people don't wait for jobs to require learning. They learn ahead to go ahead. It's investing in health. A clear mind in a healthy body is the foundation for all success. The Jewish people maintain habits of balanced eating, light exercise daily, and sufficient sleep. They don't wait for illness to care for health. It's investing in financial mindset. They don't spend money to show status. They spend money like strategists. They use every dollar like a seed, planting it where it can grow value, and never sow on barren land. The Jewish people can start from empty hands, but thanks to the invest in self mindset, they build a solid foundation from inside out. When society fluctuates, they aren't swept away. When environment changes, they adapt quickly, and when opportunities come, they're ready. Look back at yourself. Every month, how much do you spend on food, entertainment, clothes? What percentage of that do you use to upgrade yourself? How many classes, how many books, how many skill courses have you dared to invest in? A bitter but true fact. The poor often begrudge money for self-investment. They only spend on things seen immediately, not understanding that unseen immediate things are what lift them to higher classes. The invest in self mindset is the far-sighted person's mindset. The one understanding that money you have today doesn't decide who you are. But how you use money today will decide who you are in 5 years. Start with small things. Buy a quality book, join a high application class, hire a mentor, or simply dedicate 1 hour daily to learning something new. Don't fear spending money. Only fear not daring to spend on yourself. Mindset 13. Awakening. Break old perceptions. See a richer world. The Jewish people have a deep belief. All wealth in life is the result of a mindset awakening. The essence of money isn't in material but in the ability to see value others don't. And to do that, the mind must be awakened. The Talmud writes, "A person only becomes rich when he sees opportunity where others see only limits." That's why the Jewish people never settle for old thinking patterns. They constantly challenge their own mindset, break molds, eliminate limiting beliefs, and seek blind spots in perception to rise above. Most humans live in a loop. Born, learn, work, spend money, repeat. Few stop to ask why live like this. And even fewer have the courage to break old mindset to start anew. The Jewish people are different. To them, mindset isn't immutable but something to update like software. They don't let the world change then change. They update mindset to proactively change the world. One of the classic stories in Jewish philosophy is about the cage mindset where humans are imprisoned not by external chains but by head limits. The one imprisoned in perception that I was born poor, I must stay poor. The one believing I didn't study high, I can't succeed. Those people will never get rich because they've never opened the first door. The perception door. Barbara Ehrenreich, author of Nickel and Dimed, once surveyed the poor and discovered a common point. They always feel they have no right to dream big. Not because they lack money, but because they don't believe they can break circumstances. And that limiting belief is the chain binding them to poor life. The Jewish people call it the invisible poverty loop, a chain of limiting beliefs, small behaviors, and timid decisions keeping humans forever in low classes. To break that loop, only one way: awaken the mindset. What is awakening? It's daring to look back at yourself and admit you're living by an old map. It's seriously questioning what you've believed true. Working a job lifelong, is it really safe? High salary, does it surely make rich? Following the crowd, does it lead to success? It's allowing yourself to learn new things, make mistakes, adjust, and advance not because others expect but because you crave growth. The Jewish people don't try to overcome difficulties by enduring. They rise by changing the leading mindset. They don't seek money, they seek new perspectives. And that new perspective is the gold mine only the awakened see. Have you ever wondered how successful rich people differ from you? Many think it's luck, but the truth is they've gone through a serious awakening phase where they realize they're held back by things seemingly very right. Awakening mindset is a difficult, painful but necessary phase. You must abandon the familiar to step into the unknown. You must peel off the safety shell to see the wider sky. But once you've opened that door, you'll never go back to before. Mindset is the lowest ceiling of your life. If you raise it, everything below will lift automatically. The Talmud writes, "Every dollar you spend on intellect will return to you in opportunities and sustainability." And that has deeply embedded into the Jewish people's mindset over many generations. When others spend money to prove themselves, they spend to build themselves. When others buy luxuries for recognition, they buy books, knowledge, and skills so they don't need to speak up. You can see this clearly in how the Jewish people raise children. From young, they teach children that how you spend your first money will decide your place in society later. And the first money they give children isn't to spend but to choose books they want to read. Warren Buffett, the great investor with Jewish mindset, once said a profoundly thought-provoking sentence. "The best investment I ever made wasn't in stocks but a Dale Carnegie public speaking course worth $100. He understood that a person can know much, but if not communicating well, not conveying value, that knowledge will be buried. What is investing in oneself? It's investing in knowledge. The Jewish people believe in the power of education more than anything. They don't just read books but analyze, critique, continuously update the new. They don't learn for degrees but for adaptability in every situation. It's investing in skills, communication, presentation, critical thinking, personal finance management, decision-making, all soft weapons helping them win in modern society. The Jewish people don't wait for jobs to require learning. They learn ahead to go ahead. It's investing in health. A clear mind in a healthy body is the foundation for all success. The Jewish people maintain habits of balanced eating, light exercise daily, and sufficient sleep. They don't wait for illness to care for health. It's investing in financial mindset. They don't spend money to show status. They spend money like strategists. They use every dollar like a seed, planting it where it can grow value, and never sow on barren land. The Jewish people can start from empty hands, but thanks to the invest in self mindset, they build a solid foundation from inside out. When society fluctuates, they aren't swept away. When environment changes, they adapt quickly, and when opportunities come, they're ready. Look back at yourself. Every month, how much do you spend on food, entertainment, clothes? What percentage of that do you use to upgrade yourself? How many classes, how many books, how many skill courses have you dared to invest in? A bitter but true fact. The poor often begrudge money for self-investment. They only spend on things seen immediately, not understanding that unseen immediate things are what lift them to higher classes. The invest in self mindset is the far-sighted person's mindset. The one understanding that money you have today doesn't decide who you are. But how you use money today will decide who you are in 5 years. Start with small things. Buy a quality book, join a high application class, hire a mentor, or simply dedicate 1 hour daily to learning something new. Don't fear spending money, only fear not daring to spend on yourself. Mindset 14. The seed must be planted, don't grind it into flour. In the Talmud collection, revered by the Jewish people as a compass for life and wealth building, there is a profound saying, "You can lend wheat seeds for planting but not eat the seeds meant for planting." It sounds simple, but this mindset has created the difference between rich and forever poor. Seed wheat, if ground into flour, will vanish after a full meal. But if planted in the ground, it will sprout, multiply, and yield a bountiful harvest. This is the core philosophy in how the Jewish people view money and investment. This mindset isn't just advice but a living principle. It teaches us that capital is like seeds, shouldn't be spent wrongly but planted. Planting here is investing. If you spend all you have to satisfy current needs, you'll never have a chance to create long-term value. The Jewish people understood this early. They teach their children that spending money for satisfaction is the fastest way to get poorer. But making money breed money is the only sustainable path to wealth. One of the most vivid proofs of this mindset is John D. Rockefeller, the legendary American oil tycoon. After high school graduation, he didn't spend money on fleeting pleasures but borrowed $1,000 from his father to start a capital accumulating company with a friend. That was the first seed Rockefeller planted. After years of observation, he saw the oil industry had huge potential but prices were too high. Instead of rushing in, he patiently waited. 3 years later, when crude oil price dropped sharply to 10 cents per barrel, he immediately sold the company, bought refining equipment, and began the path to becoming the world's richest. Rockefeller didn't stop at first success. He continuously reinvested profits into refining technology, expanded scale, and gradually monopolized the U.S. oil market. Every profit, instead of spending, he turned into new seeds, and that's what made his assets explode exponentially. He understood that spending money satisfies you today, but right investment reassures you for life. Warren Buffett, the greatest investor of all time, once said, "Rule number 1 is don't lose money. Rule number 2 is never forget rule number 1. To him, protecting capital and using capital smartly is more important than any skill. Ordinary people always rush to spend when they have money. But true rich only ask one question: where will I plant this money to bring 10x, 100x value in the future? The seed mindset isn't just true in business or investment, but in every life aspect. When you spend time learning a new skill, you're planting knowledge seeds. When you exercise health daily, you're planting longevity seeds. When you help others, you're planting trust seeds that can return to help you in the hardest times. The question is, what are you doing with your own seeds? Are you grinding them into flour to fill your belly today, or patiently planting them in future soil? Don't let your precious dollars be wasted on non-profiting things. Use them to invest in knowledge, skills, projects, or worthy people. Anything that can bring a bigger financial harvest in the future. Because ultimately, wealth doesn't come from how much you earn, but from how much you keep and make profit from that amount. And if you still spend everything you have, you haven't truly planted anything. Thank you for following the full series of 14 pinnacle Jewish mindsets for fast and sustainable wealth. If you find value, please hit the subscribe button to not miss realistic, profound, and inspiring content like this. Also, don't forget to leave a comment below. Which mindset resonates most with you, or any other perspective you want to share? We'll read and respond to every opinion because every share is a piece in the community's awakening journey. See you in the next Mindset Upgrade Journeys. Wish you awaken at the right time and right way.